What is your true nature? Because everyone can do everything, honestly. We're a human being. Okay, we're a human being. That's God gives to us. It's like we can do everything. You can decide to become a pilot today, right? You can go to school and then you study. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you really want to become a pilot, in 100 years, 50 years, whatever years, you'll be a pilot, right? But that doesn't mean that in your true nature you want to be a pilot. That doesn't mean that your natural wiring are all about becoming a pilot, right? So what we want people to feel like a fish in the water. We want people, I mean, one of the most beautiful thing you will ever see on earth is someone acting in their own clean, natural power. That's beautiful.
Have you ever thought about your internal wiring and how or if that might be holding you back as a leader or in your career? My guest today specializes in understanding that wiring, helping his clients get to know themselves a bit better and then turn that wiring, those natural abilities, those learned skills into an advantage, a growth engine. His name is Pascal Mbo'a. He is a wiring and communication strategist. He's a coach. He helps leaders turn their personality patterns into a growth engine. So today we will be talking about what internal wiring is, how it works, does it change, what are some of the types, if you like, of wiring that people tend to have. We'll talk about human nature, psychology. We'll talk about leadership. We'll talk about nature versus nurture. It's a pretty wide-ranging conversation, but it's all focused on the people and understanding what makes them tick, which is a critical skill for any successful leader. And a quick note for you before we dive into the episode. If leadership is something that feels overwhelming to you right now, if perhaps you've just been promoted, you've started a business or taken on a new team, you suddenly have found yourself responsible for actual humans and you're thinking to yourself, now what? Who signed up on this? How did I end up here? Well, first of all, you're not alone because this is exactly why I created the Integrity Leaders community. It's leadership support for real people. It's online first. It's online only, really. It's there for real leaders, people who are going through the messy human stuff, the struggles, the difficulty of finding your feet when you're doing this for the first time. It's not aimed at those non-existent, perfect leaders, perfect people, because then I'd have a very small customer base, wouldn't I? Because they don't exist. Anyway, join today. You'll get a crew of other leaders just like you. You'll get access to leadership resources, live sessions, and a safe space to grow, discuss, explore leadership concepts without judgment. You can join for free as a leadership explorer today. The link is in the show notes. I'll put it on the screen as well. Hit that green button when you get to the website. It'll take you to the sign up page. And you can step aboard the virtual Starship Integrity and start improving on your leadership. Knowledge, understanding, clarity, and skills. Seriously, don't try to figure out this alone. That's what we all do. You don't have to. Jump in now, join the crew. Your future self will thank you. And now let's welcome Pascal on the show and get into this conversation.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Pascal, welcome to Leading with Integrity. It is lovely to have you on the show. Great to meet you. And thank you so much as well for such an early start in Canada over there. It's like 6 a.m. for you, I think. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David, for having me this morning. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter what is the time now. I'm pretty sure I'm excited about the conversation we're about to have. Mostly that is, I'm a strong believer of changing life through conversations. I believe that people having conversations and giving themselves the opportunity to challenge what they know, um, is great. Is great. So thanks for having me this morning.
Well, likewise. Thanks for being here. And So to get us started, tell us a bit about yourself, your career so far, what you do and why you do it.
I've been involved in business and management for almost 10 years, and I guess at some point to make it short, at some point I didn't want to be the guy who asks people to do something, but to be the guy who understand why people don't want to do something, and that pretty much quickly changed my position from being a manager to a coach because um I started approaching situation and people a little bit different, instead of like being like, well, you have to do, and I was taking a little bit more time to say, Why is it that difficult, challenging for you to put yourself in such situation?" Now, not all companies allowed you to be the coach because some company, mostly in Dubai, the rating is very high. Like the competition is high. I tell people if you want to know how good your company is, go to Dubai because is I think is one of the place on earth where in the same corridor you can have like a 10 company doing the same thing, right? And a higher level, I'm talking about the level, the standard is really good. And that refine your process and refine the way that you do things. So that's the reason, that's how. So I was like, okay, I want to be the guy who help people to understand why some people can do things easy and then other people struggle with. And the only way that I found to be the right venue for that was coaching and understanding behavior a little bit better.
So it's interesting. There's obviously going to be some big crossovers between that sort of the human behavior element and leadership, and we'll get into that a bit later. But I also find it quite interesting that you draw a line there between being a manager and being a coach. So one of the concepts that I've always found quite intriguing is the manager who coaches. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you see them as very distinct things or can they be the same?
Oh no, a managerial coach is definitely someone who has great awareness, right? And those are new things, honestly, to start through because I go to company for training and coaching teams and leaders, and is not something that is here that that open where you see out of 10 company you probably gonna find only two companies with a manager or coach. When I came to when I came to Canada, my first year in Canada, I worked for a company, by the way, because I didn't want to take the business from Dubai and then come and plant it in Canada because I was like, no, I'm pretty sure from my standpoint as a behavioral patterns coach, I understand that it is definitely there's a difference between those people living in Dubai and people living in Canada, and the way that they think is different. So I didn't really want to struggle with the business the first year here. So like, okay, you know what? Let me go to the marketplace. Let me get a job, and that's gonna help me to understand a little bit better how these people think over here. So for here, I actually work as a sales manager for a big company. I have like a 25, 30 people under me, and I have like so many other people or above me, and it was great because I was able to see the difference between Dubai and Canada and how people here are a little bit taking a little bit more time to do things in Dubai. This chop, we on the move, I see how when you tell people, you tell someone in Canada, do it right now, they find it offensive. Like, why are you talking to me like that? This is disrespectful. In Dubai, no one cares. It's like, you say, do it right now. They're happy to do it right now. It's like, hey, it's done. It's done. So the context is completely different. And because my position allowed me actually to be the manager and the coach at the same time, but that's because I'm educated on coaching and then I understand those things. But yeah, having a manager, and that's what we're advocating every single day to tell the company that, well, you know what, if you find it difficult to hire a coach, come for training, but make sure that the manager that you have is a coach at the same time, because that's how productivity, or you harness productivity the faster, the quickest, and then the simplest way, by having a manager or coach, because it's not about the do, it's about the how to do of each and every one in the company.
That's a great point. I mean, it's the culture matters, doesn't it? And not just like national cultures, but cultures of organizations. And a great bit of advice there as well, particularly for a business owner who might be eyeing up a move to Dubai or to a different country. Don't just think you can pick it up and drop it in another country. But also, like, there's whole companies and consultants in the world who make their money from like localization support, aren't there? But you're right, like it's easy to just get a job in the country where you are. That's the best way and the quickest way to understand their working culture, isn't it? Is work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I like that. Really good. So one of the things that I know you talk about in terms of behavioral patterns is this idea of wiring and how people are wired and understanding that. So what is the fastest way to get a grip on that and understand it in, say, just like one or two conversations? How would you approach that?
Well, basically, you have to understand the tool, you have to understand the system, you have to understand the process that goes in. But a quick way you can snap a behavior or a pattern out of someone throughout a conversation is just making sure that you focus on two things. They are rhythm and then they are focus, right? So you have to pay attention to their rhythm, not what they say. Like people will say, okay, focus on their word. Doesn't matter the word that they use, because people are limited in their vocabulary. Okay, I'm a native French speaker, right? So I can and this I learned um to speak English in Dubai. So if you want to go back in my history, it's like I'm using English as a language not more than 13 or 14 years, right? That's where I learned the scratch from scratch to whatever I can use today. So in my conversation with you as a British native, for sure, 100%, my vocabulary will gonna be different from yours. It's gonna be limited. So sometime I might use word that do not really translate my ideas, but that is the closest word that I have that I know from what I want to say. So we're not going to focus on the word that the people are using, but we're going to focus on two things. We're going to focus on the rhythm that they deliver, and then we're going to focus on just say the rating, and we're going to focus on their focus. All right. Now, if I want to give you a quick example, for example, um we have four categories of wiring, right? So the first one, we call them the dominant style. So if you're having a conversation with a dominant person, dominant style, and then you want to know if it's a dominant style, what's going to happen is that these people, this category, they focus on what? They focus on taking responsibility. They focus on being in charge. They focus on being the boss. They focus to be the authority in that conversation. So, for example, their focus will be on result, and their reading will be on taking authority over the conversation, right? So if I'm having a conversation with a high for influential type, is different. You focus on the rhythm and then you focus on their focus. Their focus, they are people oriented. Okay, they are people oriented, and then they are always enthusiastic. So when you have a conversation with those people, they will be jumping off like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, let's go, let's do it. Whatever you say, they're like on board. And then their focus is always on the people. So if it's not on them as people, as a person, it will be on you as a person. So it's easy for them to be like, oh, so how are you? Yeah, you good. So what you did yesterday. So like they are pursuing that idea of experienced people, it's like what are you going through? If you're having a conversation with a S type, those ones, they are the steady type, the rhythm and then the focus is different. They are focusing on helping. They are great helper. By the way, when I have a conversation with an entrepreneur, I will always tell them, listen, if you're gonna build this company, make sure that if you have 10 staff, make sure that you have like a 5S, because those people will kill for you. Like your company, before your company goes down, those people they have to die. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, they are great support. And when I do coaching for married people, and then I found that there is a S person involved in the relationship, I'm like, I tell the other dude, like, you're blessed. Like this person is gonna be the last person to quit. It's gonna be the last person to leave the relationship because they are so reliable, the other people want to help. So their focus one more time is on helping. This is all about helping. How can I help? How can I do something? Sometime and most of the time they forget about themselves and then they put you first. And then their rhythm is so cool. It's like calm. They don't like they don't like drama. They don't like disasters. Like calm. If you bring anything that is upside down, it's gonna make them feel a little bit awkward. But I can give you the last type. I already did three. So the last one, the Caucasus, those are the C people. We call them the C type, right? So reading and focus, they focus on the details. They are very process oriented. Those are people who are like, they want to know why the A comes after the B and then the B after the C, before the C, and then the C comes before the D. Very, very detail oriented. So their focus is all about, and the rhythm is organization. It's like they really take the time to build, and they build slowly because they want to make sure that they are doing the right thing. So you having a conversation with them, one thing that you'll notice is that all their focus is on details. It's like, okay, we did 1 million last week. How? Like they don't take the time to celebrate that. That's not what it matters to them at the moment. It's like if you say we made $1 million yesterday, the first question is how, because they want to go back to the process and make sure that they understand the whole thing. If you say to an influencer that we made 1 million, he's gonna be like, yeah, who was that? People oriented. Who was that? Because now he wants to know the person who made the 1 million. So yeah. So the quickest way for you to, beside having the tools and knowing having some more self-awareness, is focusing on the reading and then the focus that they pay attention to.
It's an interesting approach, and I like those two elements, like the rhythm and the focus. It makes a lot of sense. Like, I wonder, I mean, is this part of a particular framework, or is it something you've developed yourself over time and experience, or tell us a
Yeah,
bit more about it?
it's part of the framework. It's part of the framework, but before that, you know, one of the tools that I use when it comes to decrypting behavior and personality patterns, those is I use DISC, right? The DISC
Right.
assessment has been here for years. Like I can't even count how it's since maybe the 18th that people are using DISC assessment, and it is a very powerful tool. People don't just most people don't understand it because they think that is a tool that limits them. And the thing, well, why should I know my personality? I can do whatever I want to do. It's like they don't understand exactly what's going in. It's like, relax. We're not telling you that that's how you are forever, right? But what we're telling you is that we're giving you an advantage. We're telling you that for the past 6 months, for the past year, for the past 3 years, for the past week, this is exactly how you have been acting. We're not saying this is who you are, right? The disc assessment, this is not about telling you who you are. Who you are is in your soul. Maybe no one can ever get there, to know exactly who you are. But how you are, if we can put it that way, how you are, that is so important for you to know, because whatever performance and productivity and results you're having right now is just a reflect of how you are, not who you are, right? Who you are is something a little bit more tricky. We're gonna go deep into that in my second program. But here, the first one, the tool is all about knowing how do you do what you do, right? It's not the other question will be the why do you do. Now that is who you are. Why do you do what you do? That's the who you are. How you do what you do, that is the personality and behavioral pattern. So yeah, the reading and then the focus so important because guess what? If you're facing a situation, for example, if 10 people are facing the same situation, all 10 people are not reacting the same, right? Let's say there's a, I don't know, let's say there's a disaster that's happening and with flood, and you have 10 people involved. You will have people who will say, is everyone okay? That will be their first question. Is everyone else okay? And then someone else will say, the first question will be, what can we do right now to get out of this disaster? And then someone else is going to be like, you know, oh, whoa, we have to take care of this. And that's where it becomes so important because you want to know, mostly as a company or personal life, you want to know who am I with? How this person is going to react when this type of situation happens. And if that is the solution to the situation, well, you want to make sure that you guys you get used to the way that the person's gonna react. Or if that is not the solution, then you want to say, hey, listen, you know what, this is not the right thing. I'm gonna give you a quick example will be to give to put a high C, we talk about that conscientious high C type in charge of quick decision. They don't like that. Don't give them that position. Like that's not their thing. It doesn't mean that they cannot make good decision. They're actually very good at deciding, at making decision. Like when they make a decision, that is a top process clean decision, right? So you show that in that decision they made, they're like a 5%, 10% mistakes, but the decision's going to be a very good one and sustainable. Contrary to the D people, the dominant people who are on their feet for decision, they look for that. Like this is their nature. They love to make decision. They love that seat of saying, hey, let's go right. So you put them in a straight that is going two ways. And then you say, well, now we lost. We don't know left or right. It's not going to take them 5 seconds to pick one side. It doesn't mean that if they say left, that is the left, we need to go to left. But it's just like they don't have any problem with taking responsibility, you know? So that's what you want to know. You want to know because if you want to move forward and then you give the lead to someone who doesn't want to take responsibility, like as S person who's like, I prefer to support. Whatever you say, I'm gonna do it. You want to know. Like you want to know.
I think there's a really important message there, not just for DISC, but for a lot of these sort of, I guess personality test is a bit reductive, isn't it? But I can't think of a better phrase right now. But that point you made about who you are versus how you are, because you're right. I mean, people don't like to be put in boxes, do they? And there are quite a lot of consultants out there who will pick one of these models or approaches, whichever it is, whether it's DISC or Myers-Briggs or, I don't know, like Clifton Strengths, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I think that message about who versus how is not underlined enough in a lot of cases, particularly when, you know, the classic situation, a company away day or whatever it is, or like an onboarding process when someone's joining, it gets kind of not tense, but I think people can take it the wrong way. It can be misapplied. And then the usefulness and the knowledge and the insight that you can gain from it is lost or diminished. So I think that's a really important message. And that point about context as well, and the fact that how you are may change, probably will change over time or between two different situations, right? Like
that. Yeah. So that's a great question, by the way. Is you have a natural tendency and then you have an adaptive tendency, right? So what we do when you take the assessment is that we take the time to explain to show you that okay, the natural tendency is you doing how you do things when everything is normal. This is your normal day, right? There's nothing that changes. There's nothing awkward. There's nothing that surprises you. It's just you doing your thing in your own environment that you well know, right? And then you have the adaptive tendency that is a lot of a kind of a crisis situation. Is not something that you didn't expect happens, or it's like okay, or someone that you didn't expect to be in the situation is there, you know, and we say we want to work in a way that we help people to go back to their natural tendency. Because when we talk about stress, we talk about people who are like afraid at work, who are scared, people who are not feeling great, people who are the impact of the mental health. Those are the people who are being functioning for too long and they are adaptive. And that's what working in company does because they take someone and then they put someone in a seat that the person not supposed to be. Well, because they put you there and then they give you a good salary and everyone is looking at you as now the new boss, you can't just say, well, I don't want this position, or you can just say this position doesn't really align with my natural tendencies. So people force themselves. And yeah, some of them they produce result, good result. But the question is for us coaches is how long are you gonna be ready? How long are you going to be able to produce the result? And if you're producing whatever result you're producing and then you're damaging at the same time your mental health or your well-being, is that correct? Is that okay? Is that worth it? So we ask those questions, and the work is always okay. Listen, if you're able to fly and flight in your adaptive mode, your adaptive tendency, well, we can wait. There's a way to bring you back into the natural, right? So we're gonna train for the next 90 days, we're gonna train for the next 6 months and make sure that that adaptive becomes natural, right? So you don't have to stress, you don't have to be afraid, and then your mental health and your well-being is protected. And that's all we do.
I see that. I also, though, I was thinking less in terms of like routine versus extreme, but just different sometimes. So like, let's say a sales manager is put in a situation where they need to, I don't know, like a team of 2 or 3 others, but that person's the only person with any sales experience. They're put in a sales scenario. So they're going to take a more dominant authoritative role because they're like, well, this is what I do. I know this. I'll take charge, whatever. Perfectly natural. Take that same group and put them in a client delivery situation or an engineering situation. And that same person is going to have a totally different response because they'll just be the fish out of water, won't they? They'll be like, oh, I don't know what to do. But someone else in the group who might have engineering experience will step to the fore. And I'm using the dominant one because it's perhaps the easiest example to explain in that context. But there is that differences as well, I think, and like a situational difference, which again, I feel like that doesn't always get captured by some of these assessments.
Well, the way that even you can even say what the way that the word is changing today. It is mostly going back to what the assessment delivers is what is your true nature? Because everyone can do everything, honestly. We're a human being. Okay. We're a human being. That's God gives to us. It's like we can do everything. You can decide to become a pilot today, right? You can go to school and then you study. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you really want to become a pilot, and then we don't have these rules and policy that past this age you cannot do. No, they let you study in 100 years, 50 years, whatever years, you'll be a pilot, right? But that doesn't mean that in your true nature you want to be a pilot. That doesn't mean that your natural wiring are all about becoming a pilot, right? So what we want people to feel like a fish in the water. We want people, I mean, one of the most beautiful thing you will ever see on earth is someone acting in their own clean, natural power. That's beautiful. I mean, I don't know what you look at, but there are people when you look at doing things, you're like, gosh, this is so beautiful. There's nothing more sexy than that. Like, if you can use that word, there's not, for me, sexy is saying, like, for example, a journalist who has mastered the art of communication and reporting, and then you see them in their thing, and then they are delivering at the highest level. You're like, wow, this is so beautiful and sexy, and that's what we want for everyone. Like, come on, we want people to stop being complexed. It's like, why are you don't envy what someone else is doing, because that's just going to lead you to do something that you're not even supposed to do in the first place. What were you created to do? And how are you naturally wired to do the things that you do? Now, we can always change. Like if you really, really want to do something, but then you have to do it the right way, which means you have to go back to those patterns and those wiring, and you have to rewire them. You have to rewire them. So it's going to help you to be a pilot with the wire of a pilot. It's going to help you to be, I don't know, a barista with the wire of a barista. Instead of, you imagine you take a barista and then you give him to, you're now the pilot. Okay, that's a disaster. You take a pilot, even you, and then you're like, oh, you don't have to be a barista with the mind of a pilot. It's like, come on, it's not the same thing. And this is what we're trying to do, just helping people to go back into their nature. Well, one of the biggest problem currently is AI. I mean, one of the biggest threats that people think that is a threat is AI, right? So people are like, AI is going to take my job. AI is going to do this. And people are so reluctant when it comes to AI. And I'm like, listen, AI is not about to take your job. AI, by the way, was created by someone just like you. It's a human being. AI didn't create itself. It's a human being that created AI. And the reason why that human did it is because it was about to optimize its own work. So it means that AI is all about optimizing your own work. Now, the reason why you are afraid is because you are not delivering quality work for AI to optimize it. So people prefer to work with AI from scratch because they're like, well, the quality of the work that you deliver is not that good. So I can use AI from the beginning to the end. But the reason why you're not delivering the quality work is because you are actually misaligned. So if we align you back into your own power and your natural wiring, man, you're going to deliver something that people will be amazed to see, to accept.
Yeah, I mean, the AI one is interesting, isn't it? That comes up a lot. I saw a joke the other day about all these tech companies, and like the tech CEO rolls out, we've added this new AI feature to our whatever our existing product was, and the consumer's response is, great, how do I turn it off? And you're just like, and you do feel a little bit sorry for a lot of these tech companies because they see that it's like the trending thing in the industry, so they're trying to force it into their system in order to get investment or more interest or whatever. And then the user's immediate response is, that's brilliant, but I didn't ask for it. Turn it off, please. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. So, I mean, it's interesting. So I have to ask you now, because this is something that comes up in the leadership space a lot. Like, what are your views on nature versus nurture and born versus made? And like, how much of these, because you've kind of touched on it already, but so taking your 4 profiles, for example, like how much of that is like implicit? It's a characteristic. It's something that you're born with and you can never change. And how much of it is something you can learn, build on, change? What are your views on that?
The first thing is that change is available. All right. I love starting type of answer. Like, change is available. If you want to change, you will change. Okay. If you really, truly want to change, you will change. Right. So, there is nothing that has been made in a block. It's like, you're not phased. This is not definitive. It's not something that will never change. So it doesn't matter if it was born or not born, change is available and you can change. Now, there are people who are, like we spoke about that naturally, that people will come naturally as leaders. Those are the D people, right? If one of my daughter, she's a D. I already know she's a D because the way that she deal with me, she deals with her mom. She's a D. She likes to take charge. She likes to be an order. She want to do. She's 1 month, but she likes to be around 1 year. Pardon me. She likes to take decisions. She want to eat by herself. She want to take things. She fights for. You can see the character is forming, right? You can see the character forming, and the more you put them in a context to take charge and then to make their own decision. And I do that a lot with my first child. I'm like, she's 3 years now. The first one is 3 years, and then we go places. Recently, it was an amazing example. I'm just using it to explain this. We great, and then we had a paddle model in water in front of us, and there's practically no way to go about. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We need to cross, but how are we gonna do that? And it's just like, I'm like, okay, you know what? your sister and myself, we're gonna stay here and go. We wait for you to make the decision so we can go. And she was comfortable to make a decision, even though she didn't know exactly what to do. She was comfortable. She was like, "Yeah, okay, wait, give me 1 minute," and then she figured it out. And then she was like, "Okay, Daddy, let's go this way." And then we went that way. So the more you put them in an environment that allows them to take charge and then to make decision, guess what? You're creating that deep power in them. And then they will grow like that, right? And once they grow like that, it depends on the environment. Is if the environment needs someone like that, so they can take charge. Otherwise, the environment is going to try to convert them, right, to something that the environment actually needs. So you have people who are born like that, and then you have people who understand that, well, it's just not gonna work. It's just not gonna work, right? So for me, that my personal experience, I have a bit of both. Like from the context, from the context I grew up a little bit deep because I kind of was a lot bullied. So I had to stand my ground. I had to defend myself. So at some point, I started developing some characters and natural wiring to help me to stand up for myself. But then the other part that was borrowed from the environment, it was when I started going out of my country, and as an African black guy, it was kind of different. And I don't like to use things like a racism, those are not my word, but I'm just like, I noticed that there's a difference. I noticed that there's a difference how people are treated, sometimes because of the skin color, sometimes because of the English accent, sometimes because of the knowledge. It's a lot of stuff. And I was like, okay, you know what we're gonna do is that we're gonna mirror these guys who are treated well. That's it. So I'm gonna study them. I'm gonna see what they do, how they do things, and I'm just gonna do the same thing, right? So I was able at some point to borrow some of the words, to borrow some of the way of thinking, and to borrow some of the way of standing until until I get to the stance where I'm like, okay, now I don't really want to borrow anything because I understand already how the system works. But listen, till the end of the year, I mean, to the end of the life, we will still borrow some stuff. It's like there are people who are good. Like one of my mentor, he's good at speaking. He's good at motivating. He's good at coaching. But at some point, he couldn't just enter some spheres because he didn't have a PhD, because he wasn't yet a doctor. So his candidacy will come on the table with other people profile, and then they will like, no, we will go with that person because this guy doesn't have a PhD. And when I'm talking about borrowing things, that's one of the things. So he was like, okay, you know what? I don't really need this PhD stuff. I don't really need it. But if I want to play at this level, I feel like this is what I have to do. So because those people, they have it, so we borrow that, so we go in there, we get a PhD. Now we are playing in the same, like they are playing in in the same coach. So yeah, there's born, and then there's something that you take from the environment, because the environment, that's just what the environment needs.
That's interesting, and thank you for sharing your point of view there. Yeah, I don't know. I swing back and forth on some of these concepts. I've always quite firmly believed that leadership it's a learned skill. But I also accept there are certain like personality traits or behaviors or, learning, whatever you want to call it, that
Uh-huh.
people are naturally better at. But then it's difficult because they won't have been naturally great at those things the minute they were born, or even like as a kid or a teenager.
Now,
And
well,
there's that point quite often where these skills, not skills, but these sort of things emerge, if you like. And where I get really kind of tied up and confused around these things is like, what is it that makes that happen? And are there like inherent traits that it doesn't matter what environment, what experiences those
yeah,
people go through, those traits they will out?
yeah, yeah. Some of
It's a
them are
tough one.
just, yeah, some of them are just, yeah, some of them you just, I think, for example, if you want to put on a, on the table two races like black and white people, I think you will probably find that black people are quick to fight for their own thing. Like, this is something that I really look deep into. So you will find that black people are quick to fight, but the question is, why do you think that they're like that? Those are years of racism and slavery that has impacted the grandfather. And now it's still some of this, whatever it is still embedded in them. So you look at the white side, you look at black side, it's different. It's different. That means that somehow you come on this herd with some of it, right? No, but I think that's not, for me, it's not the most important. The most important is always that change is available, and also that it doesn't matter if you want something, go for it. Like what we the last thing that we're saying in this conversation is that if you want to be a pilot and then you feel like you're not wired to be a pilot, don't go to be a pilot. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that every change is available. And I think the key difference here is easy. Okay. The key difference here is easy. Easy, what does that mean? Certain things come easy to certain people. That's it. That's a key difference. So if you're naturally wired to do something, that thing comes easy to you. So while the rest of the world is struggling and crying and being like, oh my goodness, I'm spending days and weeks to make this happen. How can you do it? Like you're just playing. It's like for you, it's a joke. And I'm pretty sure that you had some friends or colleagues doing the same thing. Like you see someone doing something and they are happy, they're enjoying it. They did relax, they completely relax. You don't even seem like they're thinking before doing the thing. And then you're like, how can you do that? It's like for me to do what you're doing, I need to I need to repel everyone around like a goal. Let me just, I want to stay on my own. I want to be focused. I need the light to be on. I need the TV to stop playing. I need a certain amount of focus to be able, and you doing it in the midst of thousands and thousands of people and noise, and you relax. So that's it. That the key is how easy it comes to you. Whatever it is, how easy it comes to you. And once you understand how easy it comes to you, you can literally adjust. You can easily adjust. So it doesn't matter if easy is far from you here or easy is far from you here. What matters is that you know the distance between you and the easy, and you just work to close to bridge the gap.
Yeah, I see. I know. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I guess you're right. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's something you're born with or something you learn. It's just, yeah, I think that's probably a good way to look at it. Yeah, I'm not sure pilot is the best example though, because there are like physical limiting factors there. Like
Yeah,
if you don't have good eyesight or depth perception, you're not going to be a pilot.
yeah, for sure.
But for example, yeah, wanted to be a pilot. Yeah. There's a clue on the wall behind me. I know that wasn't a stretch, but still, yeah. Okay, so I mean, if we were to try and talk about this in terms of like one daily habit that's tailored to a person's wiring, like what examples could you give us of someone who's trying to transform their performance, or perhaps a leader who's trying to work with someone they're leading to achieve the same? Like, what would be your top tip, if you like?
Okay, so right now we're tapping into discipline and motivation. All right, so we're tapping into two very important things: discipline and motivation. And for you to make sure that discipline and motivations are effective, you have to go back to your nature. You have to go back to your natural wiring. So the first thing first, people have to do is to know exactly what is their wiring. They have to know, right? So many people. By the way, there's a research that came back years ago saying that less than 10 people, less than 10% of the population is really truly aware. But everyone today thinks that they are aware, like they believe that they are aware. When you talk with someone, you're like, no, I pretty have you good. self-awareness, but the research said less than 10% of the population. You know what I mean? That's a big number, right? So the first thing is to know how do you wired? What is your natural tendency when it comes to solving problems? What is your natural tendency? How do you solve problem when it comes to relating and building a relationship with other people? What is your natural tendency? Are you someone who go for it? Are you someone who wait until you've been spoken to before you react? How do you relate with people around you when it comes to pacing your work? How do you go about that? Are you someone when they give you something to do, you do it instantly and then you deliver, or you're someone who's going to wait and be behind the line? You have to know when it comes to respecting and going with rules and regulations and rule regulation that people uh, and standard that people have built and put in front of you. How do you respect that? Are you the one who say, hey, it doesn't matter how I do it. What matters is the result, or you're like, it doesn't matter what the result is. I'm going to go step by step exactly as the manual says, right? So we were talking about a pilot. We were talking about a pilot. You want to be a pilot, at some point you have to respect the rules and regulation, right? If you put someone who has no regard for rules and regulation, we're going to crash, right? We're going to crash. So that's the first thing is like you want to know exactly what is your natural wiring, what is your adaptive wiring. And once you know what is your natural and adaptive wiring, now we can tap into discipline and motivation because you want to do something daily that motivates the nature in you. That's you. If you want to keep going, if you want to keep going there, it's funny when people say, we don't need motivation, we just need discipline. No one just live with discipline. Like, forget about discipline. No one just live with discipline. I think people don't just think deep because discipline applied enough becomes a motivation. So they don't just know what they call motivation. They're like, no, you don't need motivation, you just need discipline. No, no, no. Even discipline becomes a motivation at some point. For a high C who is about consciousness, the detail-oriented people, discipline is a motivation. So for a group like that, one of the habits that they will do is that they will go back into they can do is go back into the things that you're fixing and pick only one thing and fix that one thing daily. That's it. So we're talking about improving the system. All right. So we're talking about improving the system. So amongst a thousand of things that they have to do, pick one thing and improve the system of one thing because we know that you're going to go about what is the details here and how can I make, because this is their question. How can I make it better? How can I improve it? It's like, to me, it's already good. You can deliver it right now. No, it's not good yet. I have to review. I have to review. So, and they can just get, they can, how can I put it? They can stay stagnant for too long because they are trying to improve a process that has already been improved, right? So we say, okay, you know what? Don't go mad about this. Just pick one thing in a day and then improve your system. We know that once they do it, they're gonna come out with a lot of energy to do 100 of other things. Okay, this is one time. If you want to say, you want to talk to we want to talk about the influence type, for example, the I type, for example. We say make sure that you connect with some people. This is it. And you have no idea how many people were not during COVID. Those were the high type because they cannot survive without relation. They cannot survive without contact. And at some point, I had to tell to the company that hired me to coach their team that this thing working home, it doesn't work for everyone. Some people are effective and efficient when they are working home. They are, because that it just goes with their style. It matches their own style. They want to have their space. They want to be calm. They don't need colleagues to chat with, But some other people that is killing them. Why? Because this is the guy for him to be, for him to make a 5% move into his work, he needs to chat like a 15 minute. That gives him energy. Somehow it gives him energy. So he's gonna move from his desk to go to his desk or to go to his friend's desk or colleague's desk, and then they will be like chatting. And then he comes back, he has the idea, boom. 5 minutes, he's done. He needed that. You know, he needed that. So one of the habit for those people is that make sure that you don't cut yourself from the world. Make sure that you talk to people. But well, in coaching, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna say, well, girl, you have to talk to people, but make sure that you talk to people who are gonna help you to structure your ideas because you know you're all over the place. You can have like you can generate like 100,000 ideas in 1 minute, right? So if you're having the conversation with another high type, what you guys are only gonna do is like you guys are gonna generate ideas like this, and it's not gonna serve anyone. But if you have a conversation with a C type or a S type, what's gonna happen is that the C type is gonna say, "Hey, you know what? Stop. You already gave me like a 5 ideas. What about this first idea you give me? Can we structure that? That is keeping you accountable directly. If you have the conversation with an S type, that will be like, okay. This is now overwhelming. You cannot give me like a 15 ideas in 1 minute. Let's take idea number three. How can I support you with that? And you see, it helps them to pause and then to be like, okay, oh yeah, it's all about productivity and performance. So okay, idea three, I say you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And then the good thing with that is that those people, because they are doing it for you, they are keeping you accountable indirectly or directly, they are keeping you accountable. So you cannot just ponder ideas like that. So each type has a very, very specific thing that they can do to keep themselves, motivation, to keep themselves in motivation and discipline every single day.
Yeah, it's interesting, that discipline word, isn't it? I don't want to generalize, but I find people who use that word are usually the people who've never struggled with the thing they're talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like it's easy. You just got to have discipline and just do it, and it'll be fine. It's like, okay, great, cool, yeah.
And then they're doing it wrong. By the way, they're
Yeah,
doing it wrong.
probably.
This is something. This is something that I've been honestly against with because I say we live a time where we are so influenced by social media. Okay, and we're just it's like the, people are showing you. I don't know. And again, I don't follow people like that. Like people are showing you Kim Kardashian, for example, and then they tell you she's doing this and she's doing that. Or they show you another dude, and then they say this guy wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day. And just see thousands of people like immediately they're like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 5 o'clock every single day. I'm like, this is nonsense. Why would you? Like your wiring has nothing to do with the wiring of this guy. By the way, the only reason why this guy is talking is because it is working for him. It doesn't mean that it's going to work for me. There is no law in nature that they say if you wake up at 5 o'clock and then you do something at 5 o'clock, you're going to be successful. God never said that. For people who believe God, for people who believe whatever they believe, show me where you saw or you read that if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you definitely going to be successful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you wired. That's what matters. So I say to people, listen, it doesn't matter if the dude is running at midnight. It doesn't matter if the guy is running it's just like yesterday, in this side where you barely see sun this day. Yesterday at 3 o'clock, the sun came out. Boom, it was like shining. And I wasn't in my home office. So I came out and I was like, you know what, babe? I'm gonna pause work and I think that I'm gonna go for a run. So I went for a run at 3 p.m. and I ran 1 hour and then I came back, I showered, and I came back to the office. And someone was seeing me through their window and I was like, wow, I think that I have to work at 3 p.m. like this guy. You don't know. I can work at 3 p.m. because maybe at 3 p.m. yesterday I didn't have any client. And maybe I was awake with David 6 a.m. So you have absolutely no clue of how my schedule is. So you cannot just copy and paste things that I do. but what you want to do is that you want to understand exactly how you're wired, and how doing something at 5 o'clock, 10 p.m., whatever it is, can bring value to what you're building, your vision, as I call the clearest mental picture of your preferred future. How is that adding value to that picture, you know? But people, I think people just they do what they do.
It's a good point. I think it's that old, like, the fallacy between correlation and causation, isn't it? And I mean, there's some great examples from history. Like, one I've seen recently that I find quite funny, which is probably pretty accurate, is a map of the US, North America, plotted Bigfoot sightings against ownership of gorilla costumes.
Whoa.
And it's almost perfect. Like, it's probably fake on social media, but it made me laugh.
Maybe.
But there's another one as well, like going a bit further back in history, like World War II, where they did this quite famous study during the war of like damage to aircraft returning from bombing raids. And all of the plots of the bullet holes were in like the wings and the fuselage and the tail and places like that. And there were no, in aircraft that made it home, there were no damage to the engines or the cockpit where the personnel were. So the conclusion drawn was, we need to put more armor on the wings, the tail, all the places where the bullets are hit. And they missed the lesson initially, which was no, because the ones getting hit in those places with no bullet aren't making it home. So there's a lesson about the statistics there and what you actually draw from it. So to take the 5 a.m. example, the lesson isn't, as you say, get up at 5 a.m. and you'll be successful. The lesson is understand when you work best, because everyone has different times of day that they're more productive and not. It's just everyone has their natural rhythm, to call back to one of your words earlier. So the real lesson that we should be taking from that, assuming they're telling the truth as well, because there's that whole other social media aspect of this, isn't there?
Yeah.
And how the way we present it is not always the reality, but taking it at face value. The lesson is, like, know yourself, isn't it? Which I guess is what you've been saying all the way through this episode, really. Yeah. It's a really important lesson, and well told as well. Focusing a bit more into leadership then, what do you think has been your best experience or your best memory of being led?
My best memory of being led would have been, I think, would have been the freedom, giving me the freedom to think the business and to direct the business the way that I was thinking about it. Right. So yeah, one of the greatest experience, by the way, that I had was giving someone gave me the space, because I remember once in Dubai, as I was operations manager, and for a very impressive company, touristic. And the way that I got the job, first of all, and I think that that's where the person got the idea of giving me the freedom to do what I think of the business, because from the beginning he saw my interest in the business, because I was doing something else, and I used to go down to the business, and I was just observing the business and observing how the business is going, and I figured out who was the boss, because you cannot hide. And someday I had a chance to be in front of the boss, and I was like, "Hey, I'm just saying it. I'm not criticizing no one. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just sharing. I was like, if this was my business, this is the way that I would do it. This is the way that I would do it. I would change it. I would do that." And then the guy was like, "Whoa, really amazing. We don't have the money. Actually, we don't have a operations manager, and we don't have. I'm the owner and the manager at the same time. So, and we don't have the money to hire you right now." I'm like, "No, that's cool. I didn't want to work for you guys. I was just saying, if it was my business." And you like know, by the next year, like pretty much 6 months after that, I met that guy again, and then he came and was like, "Hey, do you want to work for us?" Like, do you want to do exactly what you say you wanted to do 6 months ago for us? And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Things that change. I'm ready. So, and yeah, I've been taking the company and for almost 3.5 years, I've been pretty much doing the way that I thought. So I wake up in the morning with my own imagination. And the thing is that, it wasn't just do whatever you want to do because this is not my business. It was, well, we give you the freedom because until now we are saying good things, But the very first day you do something that doesn't go cool, well, we have to sit down and restrict your freedom, which is okay. Like, I'm okay. Why? If you give the lead to someone who can take the business from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, why would you put restriction on that person? Just let the person run, let the person run. But if you say that the business is now going from 10 to 9, 9 to 8, 8 to 7, then you want to go back to the table and then say, okay, we have to talk about some stuff, right? So I say give freedom, that is important. I say freedom, but also I say to people there, one more time, this is the same conversation. Give freedom according to the wiring of the person. And this is the biggest mistake because even on the marketplace, we have those big conversation and you feel like you open LinkedIn and then you feel like everyone is talking about micromanagement. It's like, people, the manager who is micromanaging is the bad manager. If someone is micromanaging you is the wrong type of person, And I'm like, you guys, you don't understand behavior. You don't understand behavior. That's why you say what you say. Micromanagement, the micromanagement is not a problem. Is not a problem. It is a strategy. It is a strategy. Just like you can let someone do whatever they want to do, micromanagement is a strategy, but it applies to who? That's the question. So every single person at a certain level need to be micromanaged. Every single person. Every single person. If you are an expert in what you're doing and then you go in a new company with different rules and regulations, you need to be micromanaged because you were not in that company before. It's new to you. So you need someone to step by and then like, oh, right here. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Wait, is here? No, wait. And then you're like, no, but in my previous company, you're like, yeah, we understand. That was the previous company. This company is different, right? And then maybe the person is quick to catch. So you won't have to do the full 90 days of micromanagement with a person. So after 6 days, the person was like, okay, cool, I'm good. And then you let them run. But letting just the idea of that no one is supposed to be micromanaged, that is a wrong idea. It's like if you build your, and most of the people will say that they never build a company. By the way, most of the people, they never build a company, they never own a company, they never pay anyone. Because when you start paying salary to 10 people, 20 people, 25 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, God, you don't just want people to run like chickens without knowing exactly what they are doing. But of course, doing too much of that also may cause some issue, and lack of productivity because at the same time we say is about behavior. So restricting someone who, like a high D, for example, if we take the D personality, if you restrict them and then you put them so much, you put them so many guidance and how they have to function, what you're doing is that you're just taking away their power because these guys are the one who want to be in charge. They want to be the authority. They want to figure out things for themselves. They like the challenge. So if you take the challenge out of whatever you're giving them and then you're like, okay, I'm telling you what you have to do every single day, it's going to be boring for them. And they will quit or they would disconnect. Those are the two dangers. So either they quit, but most people don't quit because they need the salary. So they just disconnect. And then they end up doing zero effort because it's not that they assume that it's not needed. So they show up, they do the 8 hours and then they go home. That's it. They don't look beyond six. They're not about to think about your business at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., 9 p.m. They are not. But if you give them the power and then you let them run the way that they want to run because they are the G people, trust me, they are working more for you than they work for themselves because they go home 10 o'clock, 11 p.m. They are start thinking about that idea that they're so like, oh, there's this idea. How can I implement this idea tomorrow at work? They are working for you because you have the intelligence to let them run.
Yeah, I mean, micromanagement's a great example of everything you've been saying, I think, because it is. I know what you mean on LinkedIn, and I've probably been guilty of this myself. It's only half the story. Like, micromanagement is bad if. Micromanagement is bad when. And we stop too early in the sentence, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that said, there are also quite a few managers and leaders and CEOs in the world who micromanagement is their default and only setting, regardless of the context, the situation, or the individuals. Like, if you're still micromanaging someone 10 years after they first started working for you, or 5 years, or a year, or even 6 months, that's not about that individual. That's about your approach to management and leadership, and you're not doing something right, basically, like that. And that, I think, is the bit where we get lost, isn't it? And I think that, so for me, I think I understand it. I understand the impulse to do it. I've probably done it in the past. But I also understand it is so destructive to a team, to an individual morale. You're absolutely right. You do it for too long or in an inappropriate way or setting, they'll disengage and you'll lose their productivity. And the irony of it is most of the people doing it are because they're doing it because they think it's the best way to ensure productivity or to keep their staff or to make sure the targets get met. And it's kind of funny in a way. Like, you sort of have to laugh about it because otherwise you cry.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to understand exactly the person you're dealing with. That because there are some people who are actually good with micromanagement. I already find. By the way, in Canada, I found more people who are cool with micromanaging by Dubai. There are people who are cool with that. Like, you tell them hour by hour what to do, how to do it. They're happy with that. They'll never question you. They will never be angry. They will never be mad at you. Like, there are people who are cool with that. So if you have that type who is okay with micromanagement and then you let them run, guess what? They're frustrated. They are not happy. And they may never come back because they're like, hell, you're not supporting me. It's like, what do you mean I'm not supporting? No, you're not supporting me, because for them, the support is about micromanagement. It's about telling me exactly what I have to do when I have to do it. There are people like that. So you cannot just disregard that and then say, oh, everyone is not good with no. Some people want that. Some people don't want that. And the other side is what you say is that some people are dysfunctional, right? Some managers and leaders are dysfunctional. They're a little bit crazy about pursuing whatever. I work like that with a leader for a company. Actually, I was there as a COO, just to assure the transition between um him and his staff and overseeing the whole company. And when I came, the way that the leader was working was exactly what you described. It's like, wow, you've been working with the same people for more than 5 years now. You really don't have to do that. It's like, that's one of the reasons why I didn't work with the person for a very long time, because it was like, even on WhatsApp, it's like asking people, what are you doing right now? Like, tell me what you're doing right now. I'm like, nah, this is annoying. It's like, it's really annoying. It's like, you cannot ask people to chat about the work on WhatsApp all the time. But that's someone who is probably have seen something and believe that that's just what you say, that's the way to get productivity out of the people. But at the same time, maybe killing the genius of some people along the way, because now they have to think you, they have to do you, and then they have to act you instead of do them and act them, and grow their own conscious knowledge, and of doing things the way that the thing that is best. Yeah, but it is not just it's not a all one size answer. It's like, for me, the best approach, the most efficient approach is um treat people the way they want to be treated. So understand
Yeah.
them.
100% agree with that. 100% agree. I guess a big part of why I sort of resist micromanagement is actually from the perspective of the leaders themselves as well, because nobody wants to spend the rest of their career doing that. Like, it's exhausting. And you shouldn't have to. Like, if you're taking a longer term view, okay, occasionally there might be an individual who just works better that way, but it shouldn't be like for everyone. That shouldn't be your entire time, all of your work
Yeah.
life, because that's
No.
no way to live either. Like, it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I have I don't know. I think this is a difficult question. You might
Okay.
say it's easy, but we'll see. So, if you could go back in time to the start of your career, what advice would you give your younger self?
If we can go, not be too rigid to my principles and values. Right? So, the way that I can land this for you and the audience is, when you're too focused on your principles and values, you tend to exclude people who don't share the same values and principle. And immediately, you also keep yourself away from learning from those people, the things that you actually need to go to the next level. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I think in my early in my early urgent career, I was a little bit very, very conscious of my values and principle, the thing that I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and and I kind of exclude the people. So I wasn't hanging out with people who were not doing what I do. I wasn't sitting with the people doing the way that I do things. I wasn't, collaborating much more with the people who were not doing the way that I do things from value and principle perspective, and yeah. So there are some people actually who could have helped me to catapult my career and to my knowledge, and that I really didn't benefit from them that much because of the principle and the value wall that I built. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm only gonna talk to you through the wall because I don't want us to mix together. So this wall is not gonna move. I don't want to know what you're doing after 6 p.m. because it's none of my business. First of all, you don't do what I do, so I don't want to know. But after 6 p.m., probably I would have learned one or two things that would have helped me to move forward on my side a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, because they were experienced. So yeah, that's one thing that I probably could change a little bit. It's like, okay, your values are your values. Your principles are your principle, but don't try to create this is not about you creating your community of people like-minded, or, people who share the same value. No, this is not about that. This is about you growing. And if they put you in a town with people who are superhero, but who don't share the same value and principle as you, what would you do? Would you decide not to become a superhero just because they don't have the same value? No, you will have to learn and say, okay, you know what? We don't share the same value. Okay, we don't share the same principle, but I still wanted to know how you guys should do this, and you do that, and then you do that, and then figure it out. And then if you want, now apply your own principle and values to whatever you've found.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson for the modern age, isn't it? And just life outside of work as well. It's also a very human impulse, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think, Yeah, I mean, when you started with like, don't be too rigid to your values and principles, I wasn't sure where that was going. I'll be honest. Like, I thought this was going to get really controversial really quickly. But you're right. Like, the way you've explained it, absolutely spot on. Like, you can be firm on your values and your principles and what matters to you without excluding those who have different ones,
Yeah.
or are not talking to them. Like, all you do by that, and you know, we could get into politics here so easily, so I'm trying to walk that line, but all you're really doing by excluding others and sticking, you know, putting those blinkers on, is robbing yourself and them of an opportunity for understanding. And that
Exactly.
ultimately is the point of communication, isn't it? And I think, you
Yes,
know, if
true.
we could all be a little bit better at that, then I
Yeah,
think a lot of the problems in the world wouldn't be as bad as they are today.
that's true.
Okay, that's a politics line. I'm not going over it. I'm stopping there. Right. So one last question for you, if I may. This is the mandatory question that everyone gets because it's my
Okay.
favorite one. So it's leadership heroes.
Leadership heroes.
If you had to pick one person, but it could be literally anyone you could think of, they could be past, present, alive, dead, real, or fictitious, but someone who, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership, who would that be for you and why?
That's a tough one, you know, because the world is full with great people, and you know, great people. But as much as you know, seeing people in public doesn't always reflect their private life. I think one of the personal leader that until now I think is greatest is my dad. You know, is my dad. And when I say my dad, people will direct probably imagine that I had a very great relationship with my dad. No, I didn't. I didn't. But a matter of fact, I grew up, my dad wasn't in the same house with same home with me. But the reason why I picked my dad is because I've seen him always trying to make the best out of everything that he had, even the smallest things, you know, and his way of thinking. Like one of the my dad was someone, he's someone that I never heard him say no. And I think it helps me pick that mindset of when you come to me and then you say, by the way, my first job in Dubai, I got my first job in Dubai as a barista in a coffee shop. And the question they asked me is that, do you know how to make coffee? I say yes. I've never made coffee in my entire life. I didn't even know what a coffee machine, like a professional coffee machine, looked like. I didn't know. So I had this conversation with this guy at 3 p.m. He's like, we're looking for a barista. Do you know how to make coffee? I'm like, yes, sir. And then at 6 o'clock, and because they close at 5, you know. So he was like, okay, cool. We're gonna hire you, but you have to come back tomorrow, blah 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 blah. So at 6 o'clock, I stay there. They close at 5, I stay there. And then he's like 6, he sees me outside. He's like, what are you doing there? I'm like, okay, so do you wanna show me how to use a coffee machine? He's like he was like, but you just told me that like an hour ago that you know how to, I'm like, yeah, that's what I call knowing. Knowing for me is the having the ability, the willingness to learn to do something. And I stay. And trust me, he loved that. So he taught me how to make coffee. He actually told me, like, he didn't say, okay, you know what? No, that was a lie. I'm going to get someone else. No, he taught me how to make coffee and I became his barista. In less than 3 months, they promoted me as the head barista because they had like a couple of cafes in town and they promoted me as a head barista because I learned so fast, so quick. You know, and that habit, that specific habit, I took it from my dad because whenever I had a conversation with my dad, I'm like, okay, I need this. Even if he didn't have the thing, he would say, yes, I'll get that for you. And I think in my early years, that's something that impacted me. Seeing him trying to be efficient and effective in every single thing, no matter little he had, you know, it was like, okay, this is inspiring. This is really inspiring. So yeah, I've learned from so many great leaders, and I'm still learning, like Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins. Jim Rohn. Those are the people that are really keep me going. Those are the people inspire me. Miles Morrow. I learned from, very. I mean, the panel is full. The panel is full, but I think amongst all those people, I pick my dad just for the way that I grew up.
Yeah, it's a great story. And it reminded me, there's quite a famous phrase from Richard Branson, isn't there? Like, if somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, say yes and figure out how to do it later. And you can't really argue with his success, can you? So,
No, no.
yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for this conversation. It's been very enjoyable for me. I hope as well for you.
Yeah.
One final thing I will ask you, if anyone in the audience would like to learn more about you, perhaps reach out, where can they go? What's the information, websites, etc.?
Or they can go straight to my website, 3WMPenvisions.com. So it's MP like my name, Mbo'a Pascal, and envision like envisioning something with a S at the end.com. And they'll pretty much find the free assessment, the disc assessment. I believe that every single person should at least once in their life take the disc assessment. Know your wiring, natural and adaptive, and then figure out your way of working with people, of making decisions, or solving problem, or relating with people, of pacing work, of respecting and going with the rules and regulation. I think at least once in your life you need to know that. So it's gonna help you build much better relationship, and it's gonna help you to adjust quickly. Because that's it. The five. If you ever heard about the 5A framework of coaching: awareness, acceptance, adjustment, accountability, and action plans. So it helps you to go through the 5A quickly because you know exactly how you are wired. So yeah, they go to the website, 3W again, mpinvisions.com. They will find a free assessment. They will find the two program that I'm leading right now, which is Visionary Mastery and then Strategic Self-Positioning. And the social media is pretty much my name on Facebook this day, because for me in social media, I think like I I I I have seasons. There are seasons where I hang out a little bit more on Instagram. And since I came to Canada, I feel like I'm hanging out a little bit more on TikTok than Instagram. Like Instagram, I don't care. I don't know why, but it's just the vibe. It's just the vibe. I think it's the vibe of the country. In Dubai, I was much more Instagram than TikTok, but then I get here and I'm much more TikTok than Instagram. So for now, if someone doesn't want to miss me, TikTok will be the place because I post, I mean, at least 2 videos every day or at least 1 video. Meanwhile, in Instagram, I don't really care. It's like sometimes.
That's interesting. I know exactly what you mean. I thought, yeah, I have seasons just with social media as a whole. Anyway, so I'll pop a selection of those links down in the show notes so listeners and viewers can find them easily. And yeah, thank you again so much for your time. It's been great meeting you and I love this conversation.
Oh, thank you for you, David. You are a great host. You made me feel comfortable and you give me the space, like the guy, you give me the space to really learn my idea. And that is great. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal, for a great conversation there. Some interesting tangents we went down and I really enjoyed it. It really made me think some of those things, and it's challenged some of my assumptions as well about like inherent traits versus learned behaviors. And yeah, there's a lot to unpack in that episode. Listener, viewer, I hope you get a lot out of it as well. I hope you enjoyed listening to Pascal talk as much as I did. If you would like to learn more about him, his website link and his LinkedIn address are both in the show notes. So I do encourage you, as always, click on those and go and learn more things. And if you are listening today because leadership is feeling a bit heavier than you expected, it's more than you thought you were in for when you agreed to take on that role. Perhaps you're a new manager, maybe you're a first-time business founder. Either way, you've become responsible for people for the first time. They're looking to you for direction, inspiration, guidance, and you don't really know where to start. You are exactly the sort of person that I'm building the Integrity Leaders community for. So come and join us today. The website is on the screen and in the show notes. Inside, you will find support, training, relatable other leaders that you can learn from and with, and a place where you don't have to pretend you've already figured it out. So whether you are struggling with low confidence, you're verging on burnout as a leader, you're feeling that imposter experience, or you're just trying to lead your team the best you can without taking a leaf out of the Klingon playbook or turning into some corporate evil overlord, then this is the place to be, because you don't have to lead alone. Click that link in the show notes, head to leadingwithintegrity.co.uk and sign up today. Or if you'd rather have a conversation about it first, always happy to talk leadership. Message me on LinkedIn. Again, the link's down there in the show notes. I would love to hear from you. Always happy to talk leadership, as I say, and I really enjoy hearing about people's experiences of leadership. So whatever stage you're at, there is a place for you at Integrity Leaders, and I hope to see you there very soon. Thank you for being with us today. This is the last standard episode of the year, because next week we are launching into the Christmas Leading with Integrity extravaganza that I every year forget to come up with a better name for. So rather helpfully this year, Christmas week has fallen on a Monday to Friday. So that does make my scheduling nightmare much easier. It's not really a nightmare at all. So starting on Monday, we will have daily episodes next week. On Monday the 22nd, I'll be talking charisma, influence, and ethical persuasion with my guest, John Ball. Then on Tuesday the 23rd, I'll be joined by Melissa Lorena. We'll be talking executive coaching, integrity, creativity, and mindfulness. On Wednesday the 24th, Christmas Eve, my guest will be Simon Holzapfel. We will be discussing, among many others, a recurring theme, the importance of leadership development training. Then Christmas Day, I admit I'll be scheduling this in advance. I won't be sitting on the computer watching the upload on Christmas morning, rest assured. But it will be the annual Christmas special. We'll have a whole wealth of guests. Maybe, hopefully, not as many as last year, because I went a bit overboard and it was nearly a 3-hour episode last year and there was just too much editing involved for that. But it will still be a bit of festive fun, some silly questions, some Christmas jumpers, maybe the occasional silly Christmas hat as well. And we will talk leadership, Christmas, and the festive controversies this year. You'll have to tune in and see what that will be. And finally, closing out the week on Friday the 26th, the annual, I say annual, this will be the second year, so it's becoming annual this year, the annual Boxing Day clip show, where we sum up some of the best moments, some of the recurring themes from the podcast this year. So that will be Christmas week. I hope you'll be there for some of them as they come out. And if not, it will give you plenty to listen to over the festive period and in the run-up to New Year. And this year, I'm not taking a week off. There will be another episode. In fact, there'll be 2 episodes on New Year's Eve. You're joined by Maritza Inglesis, and we will be talking about her experiences as an HR professional, why she got into HR, what she does today, and the very many challenges, costs, pitfalls associated with poor management, and why leadership and getting it right is so important for modern business, among other things. So that's another great episode to look forward to. And then we will close out the year, of course, with the annual New Year's special, where I'll be asking a selection of guests what their biggest lessons were from 2025, what they're going to do different in 2026, and more besides. Another excellent roundup of leadership lessons to end the year with. So I hope you're looking forward to all of that. I certainly am. Maybe not so much the editing, but it'll be fine. I'll get through it. I quite enjoy listening back to the episodes anyway, so it's all good. It's all good as long as you enjoy it, right? That's the meaning of work these days, I've decided. Right, I'm going to stop rambling. That's all for today. I'll see you again on Monday. And until then, have a good rest of your week. I hope you're managing to tie everything off before the festive break, before the end of the year, and that you don't have any of those stressful, nasty deadlines to work on that so many people do seem to have at the end of the year. So until we speak again, as always, be a leader, not a boss.